Hey everyone. So today I want to talk about two things that have kind of held me back in the past, and maybe you'll be able to relate. So I'm here in my yoga studio, where every year around my birthday, which is in December, which is just magically at that time of year where you're kind of closing out the year but looking forward to the new year, I put a new decal in my yoga studio. And so this year, a lot of you probably already know, I turned 50, and so the older that you get, the more aware you are of like how quickly time is passing. So I saw this quote and I was like, yes, like that's it. And here's the quote: "You know those things you always wanted to do, you should do them." And when I read that, I was like, yeah, like time is going by so fast, and fear holds us back from doing more of the things that we always wanted to do, whether it's like traveling to a certain place or, writing a book, which, by the way, to me, like last fall, I wrote a children's book, which I don't know anything about, but it was really close to my heart. A lot of you know I have 3 rescue dogs, and I just love them to death. And something about rescuing a dog, like, takes the whole love of a dog to a whole other level, because prior to rescuing, I did the old, bought a dog thing, and I will never do that again. But anyway, so I wrote a children's book last fall, and it was really funny because when I published it, so many people, like a dozen people, said to me, "I always wanted to write a children's book." And I was like, "Really? That's so cool. You should do that." And they're like, "Well, I don't know how to do it." And I was like, "Well, I don't know how to do it either, but I did it." And because it's like, it's like anything in life, you learn by doing, right? But I think so often people, we think it's procrastination that's holding us back. Our lives are so busy, we don't have time to do something. But it's not really procrastination, it's fear. Like fear of being judged, fear of, people criticizing, or who am I to do such a thing? And so that was really wow to me. So anyway, when I saw this quote, and I wanted to share it with you guys, it really struck a chord with me, and my husband too, because of course he turned 50 last year also. Another quote, speaking of which, that I'll just share with you. I wasn't planning on talking about this, but this is another quote that's in here I put probably years ago. "The most effective way to do it is to do it." That's an Amelia Earhart quote. And now I'm going to take you outside because it is a gorgeous day outside, and I just don't want to be downstairs right now in my studio. So anyway, I wanted to just share that because I wanted you to think about, speaking of the rescue dogs, there they are, living the life. I want you to think about things in your life that you always wanted to do, like, whatever, like travel a certain place, or I'm going to set you down there, write a book, or whatever it is that's close to your heart. Like, what is it that brings you joy, and why are you not doing it? What's holding you back? And so that's something really, just really valuable, no matter what age you are, to contemplate that. And another thing for me, again, along the same theme, that is, I have been wanting to, for at least 8 years, I've been wanting to teach or to lead a yoga and hiking adventure, preferably in Europe, because Europe to me, I just love the culture, I love the food, I love the scenery, and I love active vacations because I just get so much out of it, and I just love, I don't want to be in a bus, I don't want to, be in a big group. I just love to interact with the locals and that sort of thing. So anyway, guess what? Those things you always wanted to do? Well, I'm finally doing it. So I'm really excited to announce that in the spring 2020, so it's a whole year away now, it's May 2020, I'm going to be leading a hiking and yoga adventure in Tuscany. And I'm partnering with a woman that lives in Tuscany that I took a trip with about 8 years ago. And my husband and I just really, really, really enjoyed, the food, the culture, the activity, the interacting with the locals. And at the time, anybody who's traveled with me before knows that no matter where I am, I end up doing some yoga. because that's just what I do. So it could be 10, 15 minutes in the morning or in the evening or whatever it is. And so we're going to add in the yoga. Now the yoga is not the main feature, right? The yoga is like what I call a little bonus side dish. So we'll be doing yoga in the morning, in the afternoon, in the evening, but it's all optional. And it's just, you know, on our hikes we'll be doing some yoga, you know, weather permitting and that sort of thing. So I'm really excited to share that. I'm so excited to finally do it, to take action and to make this happen, right? Because life is just cruising by, and there's no time like the present, right? So I wanted to share that. If you're interested in it, you can find out more on my website. I'll put the link on my Instagram too, and on my Facebook. You can check it out at flexiblewarrior.com on the events page and find out a little bit more about it. So again, just to kind of circle back around, think about, you know, what brings you joy? What do you know? Do you ever notice yourself saying like, oh, I always wanted to, someone says something, you're like, oh, I always wanted to do that. Like, notice when you say that, and then think about what's holding you back. Is it a fear? Because, you know, I don't know if you haven't already watched, for those of you who don't follow Brené Brown, a friend of mine recently shared a video of hers, a speech of hers that's, I think it's available on Netflix. Brené Brown is awesome. She's amazing. She's such an inspiration. And she talks about courage and vulnerability, and how you can't have one without the other. And so being courageous and that warrior mentality, like putting yourself out there, she calls it putting yourself in the arena. You will be judged. You might fail, and that's okay, but do it anyway, and be confident enough to be vulnerable, to put yourself out there, and to do the things that truly bring you joy. Like, seriously, what are you holding yourself back with? Like, why wouldn't you just go ahead and take action? If it's a fear that's holding you back, then just know that, you know, fears are where, you know, when you approach a fear, when you do something that challenges yourself, that's when ultimately you'll have your greatest joy. At least that's my experience in life anyway. Like, doing the things that get you a little bit out of your comfort zone. Like, if you think back in life, like, what are the most memorable moments? What are the things that you're most proud of, right? It's not when you've been sitting at home, like, you know, dilly-dallying or writing, you know, reading a book or something like that. It's when you're taking action. It's when you're doing something that makes you a little bit uncomfortable, right? Right. So anyway, thanks so much. That was just my little thought for this morning. I'm going to go take a hike right now. Why not? It's a gorgeous day here in Maryland, where the sun is shining and warm, but the air is cool and the breeze feels amazing. So I hope you guys have an awesome day. Again, check out the link in my bio for the Tuscany hiking and yoga adventure, and hope to see you guys soon. Bye.